Today's myth is a real spicy one. You ready? Myth 4. Hinduism is a religion. That ain't it, fellas. Now I know you probably figured out what I'm going to say. Hinduism is a way of life. Yeah, nah. That's a cliche argument. And technically speaking, if, Matt goes out with the boys every Friday night at the club, then that's also technically a way of life. Right? It doesn't do much for our argument. So don't worry. I've got other reasons as to why Hinduism is not a religion, but rather it's a culture. So the thing with the word religion is that there's no universal set definition, but there is implied connotations. When we hear the word religion, we already have a set definition in our head. So a typical negative connotation would be that religion is a rigid, by-the-book institution that is one geared towards God. Now the problem with that is none of it applies to Hinduism. What I just said is not necessarily what a religion or any particular religion is. It's just an implied connotation, as I said. Secondly, I'm not saying that Hinduism is better than a religion or any particular religion. I'm just pointing out the differences. Alright, so we got that clear. So, typically a religion has a central book that somewhat defines it. But if you go up to a Hindu and say,
"Oh mate, what does your book have to say about this?"
What book? Literally, which one? There's 4 Vedas, then another big one called the Bhagavad Gita. Then we have epics like Mahabharata and Ramayana. And no, my friends, that is not it, because we haven't even talked about the 18 Puranas, the hundreds of Upanishads, or the Charitras and the Pothis. And while you might have Hindus that stick to a particular book, you just can't get any one book and say, this defines Hinduism. No, it doesn't work like that. And despite all of these books, Hinduism does not imply that if you don't do a certain thing, you are a heathen. Right, so as evidence, let's look at the Bhagavad Gita. It's a revered text, it's a prominent Hindu scripture. And so basically what's happening in the Bhagavad Gita is this handsome bloke, Krishna, is giving one-on-one advice to his disciple Arjuna. He's using concepts that constitute today what is known as Hinduism, and he's giving advice that lasts for 18 chapters. The Bhagavad Gita has 18 chapters. Now that's like 8 hours of straight talking. You betcha, I don't know about you guys, but if someone was taking my advice for 8 hours, I want them to listen to me. But my man Krishna, chapter 18, verse 63, he just comes in and says, Yatha tatha kuru. Do as you wish. Wow. So let me put this in a perspective for you. This is basically God saying, I've told you what I reckon, but at the end of the day, you do you, mate. So there's no set rules in Hinduism. There's no set book in Hinduism. So definitely it's not a rigid by-the-book institution, because Hinduism recognizes that every individual has their own way of thinking, their own perspective, their own level of understanding. And that's why Hinduism offers multiple different paths for multiple different goals. Now you might ask, what do you mean multiple different paths? It's all about God, isn't it? Well, mate, you're missing out. Because Hinduism has shastras on medicine, philosophy, architecture, you name it, mate, and we got it. Like, bro, we literally have the Kama Sutra, which discusses sex openly. So, no, Hinduism is also not one geared towards God. Now, this topic, this myth that Hinduism is not a religion, is quite a big one. So I'm going to split this up into 2 episodes actually. So I'll see you next week with part 2 of this episode. But for now, you know what to do. Hit that subscribe button. I'll see you next episode.